Hey, what's up, fitness world and the rest of the world? Matt here with Gulf Coast Fit, and I am cleaning some shit up, but I would like to share with you today what would be my top 7 strength exercises. If someone was to ask me, if they were to ask me, Matt, what are your top strength exercises? If I were to narrow that down to a list of 7, for no particular reason, because I don't think I could narrow it down to 5 reps. But 7 is a little more fun to play with, maybe a couple of honorable mentions. But regardless of how many, if it were 10, 15, 20, it would still be tough for me to narrow the list down. But to keep this to 5 minutes or so, give you my 5 cents in 5 minutes, then let's keep it to 7 strength exercises. This is a fun game I like to play with myself and with other fitness professionals, even with my clients. That way we find out a little bit about each other as far as our training personalities go, and we can help share what we've learned and what we've experienced with each other. So the criteria for these lifts will be that they're appropriate to do for low volume. When it comes to making strength gains, then you are inevitably going to lift heavier, higher intensities for less reps. So that way you can get those neurological gains that you're looking for, which at the end of the day, that's what strength training is. It's synonymous with nervous system training. When you're trying to get stronger, as opposed to trying to build muscle, there is a lot of overlap, like a Venn diagram, but strength training is nervous system training, and that's what you are seeking to achieve when you strength train, when you push heavy weights for low volume, but with high intensity. You're looking to enhance your nervous system's efficiency, the ability for your brain to tell your muscles how to flex, how hard to flex, when to flex, how much force to produce on demand, building a smarter, stronger body. So, without further ado, in no particular order, and being as objective as possible, again, these aren't my favorite list of strength exercises. These are the top 7 that I think would produce the most well-rounded program that would pay the most dividends in the long run. Let's say you had to pick 7 lifts to do the rest of your life. This would be my top 7, at least today, off the top of the dome. First would be Zercher squats. I really like Zercher squats for a lot of reasons. You're getting that big, basic movement pattern of a hip hinge with some knee flexion. There's not a lot of muscle groups that get left out on Zercher squats. And for those of you who don't know, a Zercher squat is where you hold a barbell, or any weight for that matter, but when you're trying to get stronger, barbell works the best because you can add the most weight and produce, or which would facilitate the most progressive overload in the long run. Zercher squats, you hold the bar in your elbow, overlap your hands, hug that bar tight, and you perform squats just like you would a back squat, only instead of the bar being on your back, the bar is on or in the crook of your elbows. So this is not a demonstrational video. I just wanted to bust out my top 7 while I'm foam rolling. So Zercher squats would be number 1. Great core exercise too. Oh yeah, I'm actually on PVC rolling. Check it out. Oh, boom. Do have some foam rollers too though. All right, back on track. Easily distracted. Multitasking at its finest. Second exercise would be pull-ups. In my opinion, pull-ups are the upper body exercise that is the most indicative of real functional or pure upper body strength. And doing some strict pull-ups, whether it's 1 or 3 or 5, weighted or unweighted, doing a really high quality strict pull-up is actually a very impressive and very challenging physical feat of strength. So pull-ups are certainly appropriate to add load if you're to that point, if you've progressed that far. But upper body pulling, getting that vertical pulling movement in, that climbing type of movement, requires a lot of core strength, a lot of external shoulder, the rotator cuff strength and development. Obviously lots of lats, biceps, rear delts, traps and rhomboids. And there's a lot of synergy going on there, even though it's you're working in absence of your lower body. my neighbor. Next up would be the snatch grip deadlift. And again, these aren't in order. These are all tied for number one, in my opinion. The snatch grip deadlift is a deadlift variation that I feel is the most beneficial deadlift variation. And that's where you take an extra wide grip while you're lifting the barbell off the ground. Taking that extra wide grip increases the range of motion because you have to hinge down and reach down further to go get the bar with that extra wide grip, but also engages your upper back, rear delts, and it challenges your grip strength much more. So you've got all the benefits of a deadlift. You can't go quite as heavy as you would on a conventional deadlift or a sumo deadlift, but the snatch grip deadlift, in my opinion, has more benefits. So snatch grip deadlift, wonderful. Next up, I would have to go with the overhead press. You really can't leave the overhead press out. It's old school, tried and true. When you're pushing something heavy over your head, there's no getting around the fact that everything under that bar, from your grip, down the kinetic chain, through your core, and all the way to your feet, stabilizing and gripping the ground, that's about as full body as it gets. Since you are relying on your upper body pressing musculature, it's not the strongest exercise, but it can be one of the most demanding exercises to keep your entire body stable and vertically locked in place while you're pushing something overhead. So overhead press, that would be next up for me. Let's go back down to lower body, and there's likely to be more lower body exercises than upper body exercises on this list, because at the end of the day, when you want to get shit done, when you want to get gains, it's all about hitting the legs. Even if you have upper body, side note, even if you have upper body goals, whether it's to enhance your pulling or pressing strength, doing big, basic lower body strength lifts will actually enhance and improve your upper body capabilities. The opposite is not so much true, if at all. For example, you could do squats, deadlifts of different sort, and you're going to increase your upper body strength inherently as a byproduct of imposing that stress on yourself as an organism. Everything gets stronger, whereas doing pull-ups or dips or bench press or whatever, whatever upper body exercise, that's not really going to get your lower body stronger. But I digress. So moving back down to lower body, I'd say a good, solid, strict step up. What I really like about step ups is it is very simple, and initially you probably don't need any weight to do a strict step up where you're really not springing off the ground with your bottom leg. You're 100% using your top leg on top of a bench or a ledge or whatever. It takes a lot of core recruitment, takes a lot of force production to budge you up onto that step without using your bottom leg. And it's certainly appropriate, move you a little bit, certainly appropriate to load up a step up with a good amount of weight and do it for low volume. Moving right along, step ups are also a very, very beneficial and demanding core exercise. Excuse me. Let's see. Next up, let's go back to upper body. And I'm a big fan of pulling. In my opinion, you should do twice as much pulling as pushing, whether it's vertical pulling, horizontal pulling. You've got a lot more muscles in your back, and you use them quite a bit more from day to day than you do your pressing muscles. So let's go back to an upper body pulling exercise. I would have to go with pendule rows. Pendule rows are like the deadlift version of a bent over row. The bar or the dumbbell, typically a barbell, starts and finishes on the ground every single rep. So you get the benefit of that starting strength. You get the horizontal pulling strength relative to your body and anatomical position. It's a horizontal pulling exercise, even though you're bent over pulling vertically, but you're pulling horizontally compared to your body when you're standing up. And that's the frame of reference there. So pendule rows, the bar starts and finishes on the ground, takes a tremendous amount of core recruitment, entire posterior chain, hammies, glutes, even your calves, all the way up your back to your traps and rhomboids. It doesn't get much more posterior chain dominant than a pendule row. in my opinion, pendlay row can strengthen your posterior chain in different ways, but in just as beneficial a way as any type of deadlift variation. Let's see, moving right along. Like I said, legs is really how you get things done when it comes to getting stronger. So I'm gonna go with a front squat, a front box squat. Box squat is where you sit onto a bench or onto a box and you're loaded up with a barbell or dumbbell or whatever, big heavy weight, and you stand back up. You sit on the box, complete stop, stand back up. Oh man, I'm hitting my inner thighs right now, the vastus medialis region of my quadriceps, and it really smarts. Oh yeah. So if you haven't foam rolled or PVC rolled and you've been foam rolling for a while, give a PVC pipe a go, because it may be time to progress to that. Just like anything, body work needs to progress just like strength work. Front box squats, back on track. Front box squats, that's a vertical squat. You're loaded in the front deltoids with the barbell or dumbbell. Sit down on a bench, stand back up. Sitting on the bench requires that you disengage and then re-engage your core and your lower body musculature, which is hard to do. Again, back to neurological efficiency. Nervous system training is synonymous with strength training, and one of the hardest things to do neurologically is to engage a lot of muscles simultaneously with a lot of contractile force. It's a skill, takes a long time, a lot of progression and practice, frequency, repetition, and consistency to improve. And it's something that doesn't come quick, which I'm always a fan of things that take patience and a lot of time over months and months and years to acquire. So that keeps me motivated. So front box squats, that's another good one. Let me see, how many have I gone through? Zercher squats, pull-ups, snatch grip deadlift, step-ups, pendlay rows. Ooh, I'm running out. Overhead press, front box squats. That's 7. Oh, man. Those, honestly, that would round off 7, but let's give you a couple of honorable mentions. I would have to go simple and effective with a bench press. So bench press, obviously that's the most commonly thought of strength exercise. It's a little bit overused and misused, but there's no getting around the fact that when you're trapped under a bar and you've got to press something off of you, that takes a lot of commitment. It can be scary, and it can certainly get you stronger. We had an overhead press, so that's a vertical pushing, so that's why I just thought of bench press. That's a horizontal pressing exercise. So if I were to do another honorable mention, I would have to say dips, another pressing exercise. Can't go wrong with body weight, whether it's just your body weight or whether you're loading some extra weight up on top of that dip. Dips are a big compound upper body pressing movement, and appropriate to load up some weight with a high intensity that you can only do 5 reps of. And I say 5 reps because if you drift up higher than 5 reps, you're likely venturing into a hypertrophy type of rep scheme to really induce and facilitate those neurological gains, being able to tell your muscles to fire just how you want them, as hard as you want them, when you want them to be able to relay those fast signals from your brain all the way to your extremities to contract just the right way to perform whatever lift you're doing. 5 reps or less is really the money for you. Doesn't mean you should go maxing out all the time doing 1 rep at a time, but you want to go heavy enough to where 5 reps is about the most repetitions you can perform at that exercise. So just to recap, Zercher squats, pull-ups, these might be out of order, step-ups, snatch grip deadlift, pendlay rows, overhead press, front box squats, and then honorable mention, bench press and dips. So I think those would comprise a very well-rounded, long-term strength program. And doesn't mean you would have to be doing all of those all the time. You could pick 1 or 2 or 3 of those and just focus on on one thing at a time. You can't do everything all the time, otherwise you get nothing. But that would keep you going for months and months and years, or just indefinitely. So there are obviously dozens and dozens and hundreds of other strength exercises that can get you stronger, but I'm the type of guy who likes to keep it simple and effective. Those are all really big bang for your buck exercises that do have, although they are simple, there's quite a learning curve to all of them. It takes practice, consistency, and a lot of patience, and really tuning into your body, seeing how you respond to each exercise to then gauge how you should go about progressing that exercise. So this list might change next month, might change next week, but right now, today, I don't think you can go wrong with those 7 exercises. Again, you could you could challenge me to keep it to 10 exercises, 15, 20, 50. It would be challenging to narrow it down to any number of exercises, but 7 sounds catchy, so that's my top 7. Again, I like to play that game with myself or with other trainers or even clients, and try it yourself from your own experience. What 7 exercises get you the strongest, or have produced the most results for you personally? I would love to know. So peace out. Thanks for listening, and hope you learned a thing or two, maybe food for thought. You can try some of these exercises out, and if you do, I'm sure you will get some more gains. So catch you later. Bye.